Ekweremadu, the daughter of embattled former Nigerian Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu, has appealed to members of the public to donate a kidney to her.
I had put out an appeal and a lot of people came up, but we weren't really able to do anything with that as of now because I'm still on dialysis. Hopefully, I would be able to, get the transplant soon.
My name is Mata Uchi.
You say you want to donate your kidney to the daughter of former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu. Why do you want to do that?
I want to do that because I need to help the girl. She's dying. They've already showed me in my dream that I should help the girl. I've already seen her a long time ago. So they already showed me in my dream. Even this one, I still have the same girl. So I need to do it fast.
Okay, so what are your demands if you are to help the lady?
I don't have any demand for now. I just need to save the girl's life. That is the most important thing for now.
This wasn't what we're used to, which is, perhaps somebody's had an affair and it's got dirty, or, they found $1 million cash under somebody's sofa. It wasn't an open and shut case. There was family involved, It pulled at your heartstrings. They wanted to save their daughter who was still going through dialysis at a significant cost to the family. So every time you would see Sonia Ekweremadu come in with her brothers, you couldn't help but feel sorry for them.
Okay, this was a very influential person that people are still praying for, that people are still holding birthday parties for.
At the same time, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, which was Ekweremadu's party, named him as a member of its presidential campaign organization while he was facing trial for human trafficking in England. He continued to receive all his salaries and emoluments for more than a year while he stood trial. During a one-day prayer summit organized by the leadership of his community, residents prayed for divine intervention over his case.
The emotion and the empathy, you could see they'd have it. Sometimes you'd look at the jury and you could see that, look, this is a father here, this is a mother here. They saw Sonia as well. She did well at school. She was a good girl. Why wouldn't you want to save your child? So there was so much sympathy for him.
One of the most extraordinary things we revealed during our trip to Nigeria was the extent to which the Nigerian Senate attempted to intervene in this case. And we've now spoken to both the senator and also the police. And what I can tell you is that the Nigerian Senate were adamant that they needed to meet in person with the suspect and the victim in the UK. And they used diplomatic channels in order to get there. And that was something that did hamper the police investigation for a while.
Oh, how so?
Because the police suddenly had to deal with a very, very vulnerable witness who was at that point, once they had spoken to him, once they had really found out all the true facts about who he was, because he'd been nervous coming forward, once they had gained his trust and explained to him how the legal system worked as best they could, and the risk that he was going to be taking. Once all of that had happened and they had got him into a comfortable place, they were being told that Nigerian politicians might want to have a chat with him. Well, that could have changed the course of history. And so they were very nervous about that. And so they consulted lawyers. And at that point, lawyers said, you don't have to accept this request.
So, this is the chair where Christina Huddleston is supposed to have sat for today's interview. Christina Huddleston is a director at Justice and Care, which is the NGO that was reportedly assigned by the police to take care of Daniel. They had been in touch with Daniel from when he reported at the police station, throughout the case, up until now. In our repeated conversations with them on the phone and via email, they confirmed they are still working with Daniel. They, along with the police, are the only people who know the status of this case. They confirmed their participation in this documentary. They extracted from us a commitment not to ask certain questions that they said would endanger Daniel's welfare and the case. We agreed to every single condition. As at yesterday, they confirmed again that they would make this interview. As at this morning, that confirmation stood. And then a few minutes before the interview, they suddenly cancel for no reason. This is the message they've sent us. Dear Peter, I reviewed the briefing sheet and revisited the ask against our involvement with this case. And as it is still ongoing for us, we will not be able to support with the ask, and we will need to decline the invitation to assist. I hope it all goes well for you. Chris. No reason for this cancellation. So we reach out to them and we give further commitments. We said, okay, look, you are the only one that knows where Daniel, a young 21-year-old, a vulnerable 21-year-old from my country, that nobody knows the status of his well-being. Okay, we will follow whatever additional guidelines you have on this matter. She replies, hi, apologies for this, but we will not be able to add any value to the documentary at this moment in time. So we're about to call Christina. Christina is with Justice and Care, who were and are the custodians, as they confirmed in the chat with us, of Daniel's welfare up until this moment. As I mentioned, we're on the way to our office, but, we don't know what happens there. We want to understand why they're not talking to us, if they're talking to the BBC and other players, and why they cancelled on us so abruptly and without a clear reason. That's why we are calling them. Christina Huddleston.
This is the mailbox for Christina Huddleston.
Does it keep going to voicemail? I feel like they've diverted my numbers since the last time. This is Jamie, her boss, who we spoke to, we had a great conversation with, and who made a commitment that once she came back from her leave, she would do the interview. And so I'm hoping that Jamie will be able to give us some clarity.
Record your message and press pound, or press star to contact the operator.
This is very strange. It's all very strange. It's all very strange. That's all for Christina. I'm going to try and call Alexandra Meek of the Met Police, who, we spoke to and said she couldn't talk to us. They couldn't talk to us, even though they've spoken to the BBC also.
It's not controversial for me to say the Metropolitan Police are institutionally racist. That is not a controversial thing to say. We have the Leatherson inquiry, the Labour London mayor. He also did a very extensive inquiry over the past couple of years. And exactly the same thing that happened when Stephen Lawrence was killed, however many decades ago. It's the same thing now. The police are just institutionally racist. Unfortunately, evidence is lost. When they do a good job, they do a good job. If something happens to me now, am I going to call the police? Yes. And will I appreciate the policeman or woman who's trying to help me? Absolutely, I will. I respect police officers, and I need to get that out there. But are the police institutionally racist? Yes. If a police person deals with me as a black, am I going to be scared and walking on ice and feeling that, oh my goodness? Of course. So in terms of as a black station or as a black broadcaster, Judy, saying you want to speak to them, are they going to give you the same respect as they would give a white man? Absolutely not. We cannot trust, because we've seen this year alone, 2024, 2 serious cases where the institution was wrong the blood infection, post office scandal. This year alone, we've had at least 2 big inquiries showing how terrible the police are. Sadiq Khan's run and the Leveson inquiry. We know how Nigerians can be unfairly labelled. And this case played into all of that.
Hi, Alexandra. My name is Chude. I'm the director of the documentary chronicling the story of Daniel, the Nigerian young man who was a critical witness for the case against human trafficking against Nigerian Senator Ike Ekweremadu. We've been in extensive communication with you, especially my colleague Peter, who is associate producer. And he said you've declined to speak to us. I wanted to reach you directly to have an understanding as to why. And that's because we are aware that you've spoken to the BBC and other foreign press, and we are the first Black African film crew that is trying to, investigate this case. And we want to do it in a way that centers Daniel's voice. Secondly, we've also had exclusive access to Daniel's family, who are incredibly worried about his welfare and well-being, and have asked us to kindly channel their message and be able to get clarity and certainty from the Met Police as to his well-being. We don't want to know about where he is. We don't want to know. We understand why he has to be, as you guys say, under witness protection. But we want to know what his state is in terms of well-being. We understand that you say he can't speak to his family, but want to at least have a sense of clarity as to how he's doing, how he's well. He's a young Black Nigerian boy, a man, in the UK, in an unfamiliar place, secluded from the public space. And for the purposes of his family and purposes of the documentary, I want to be sure that he's well. And I think that it's only fair for the Met Police to give us a statement or do an interview and share whatever limited information that he can share with us. Again, since you've spoken to foreign press, British press, and this is a Nigerian citizen, we think it's only fair to get some communication from you. I thank you for your time and your patience, and I hope to hear from you before we start post-production this weekend. Best regards.